All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We'd like to hear your views on all this state of the nation we're talking about. At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. My guests again real quick, Dr. Kimani Wamatangi is here, Senator for Kiambu and Majority Whip. Dr. Alfred Mutua, Machakos Governor, is here, and Honorable Samson Cherargei, Senator Nandi, and Honorable Samuel Atandi, Member of Parliament for Lagos Songa. Let's start off with the Daily Nation, and also the Standard is pretty much the same thing. The Standard says Battle Royale starts. The Daily Nation says BBI court date jolts referendum plans. And on the lower side of the Daily Nation, there's an issue about the judiciary. Uhuru remarks sparking an uproar, and he mentioned that the judiciary has tested the constitutional limits. Cherargei, do you agree? Has the judiciary tested the constitutional limits in this country?
Good morning, Trevor, and my apologies, I didn't make last week. I was being politically persecuted somewhere in Bungoma because of speaking out against the systems. And I want to apologize for not making it, but all said and done, we hope justice will be served. And it is unfortunate that the country has sunk too low to try and undermine our democratic space because of what you think, conscience and thought. But I want to assure the nation that if Hustler Nation takes over power, we shall not venge against anybody or avenge against anybody. We will forgive them and show them how to walk in a free, fair and democratic open society. Thank you, Trevor. I think these comments were made in bad taste by the president, and it is sad. And I was shocked. I didn't imagine a national holiday which we should celebrate promoting the aspirations of national unity, togetherness, the future statehood, open democratic society. I wouldn't have expected the president to reduce a very important national event into a rant, a blatant attack against judiciary. And it's unfortunate that the new Chief Justice, Martha Koome, was seated there, and the president went on a tirade. That was unfortunate, because in such an event, I wish the president would have done that and in a BBI rally or in somewhere Kondele would have been safer. But attacking judiciary openly, threatening and blackmailing judiciary is very, very, very sad. And I'm happy the president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Daniel Masinga, has said yesterday that we should prosecute our matters in the court of law. And the legal advice, I don't know whether President Uhuru Kenyatta is a beneficiary of hero worshipping ideas and a beneficiary, or whether he likes to be told things to make him happy. Because I thought these lawyers, led by colleagues, who some of them are also state officers, and by the way, it is interesting because DPP had applied that members of parliament who are defending clients, including governors, were being told to be moved out of those suits in court because they are state officers. It is shocking that among the list of lawyers that are appearing, like Mohamed Nyaoga, who is the chairperson of Central Bank of Kenya, Senator James Orengo, who is the senator for Siaya and a state officer, it is so sad that the same state officers who are supposed to protect the public interest are being used to represent specific clients. But finally, I want to say that I want to appeal to judiciary, and I'm happy that they should not succumb to any intimidation. I didn't know the president would want to do the revisiting, and it shows why he has not appointed the 41 judges. But it is so sad as a country that the judiciary has come a long way from being appendage of executive. And the president should respect the independence and interdependence of judiciary. But finally, I remember what Raphael Tuju told one of the media stations in this republic, that he was, and it looks that it is the thinking of the president. Remember, Raphael Tuju in one of the interviews said that after you have made that judgment, you will have a police officer to escort. So we thought it is just an idle remark that can be made in a bar, but it looks like that it is a serious threat and it is undermining the gain. So we hope the appeal that will be listened, the judiciary should do it in an impartial, independent, and respect to the rule of law. But I want to advise the president, since his political and legal advisors can't advise him, that if you have any appeal issues, you should just prosecute in a court of law, no need a public barasas.
All right. Atandi? As the judiciary stretch the constitutional limits?
Thank you, Trevor. I think before I go into the issue, the substantive issue, I need to challenge my brother here. Have you heard him speaking about political persecution?
Yes.
You know, it is really wrong. You know, this is really a blunder and a mistake. You know, to accuse the police or the system of persecuting him. You know, they were involved in bribery and violence during that by-elections, and you know, as their modus operandi, you know, they bribed voters. So you know, if they are told to account for it, and you cannot come here and say that you are being persecuted. I think this that one. I need to
I will
set that record
reply to
straight.
that. Don't worry.
And two, Trevor, I think on this issue of the president in Kisumu during Madaraka Day is something that I would like to say. I would like to describe as maybe boiling of hot air. That's what I can describe it, because you know there's a tendency of reporters and politicians to select a section of a speech and use it to demonize the entire message. I think I was in Kisumu and the president was very clear, and I think it took more time enumerating the benefits that are contained in the BBI that the Kenyans would lose if this process was stalled.
Yeah.
And I think that is really what needs to be focused on. And secondly, there is the freedom of expression, which is anchored in our constitution. And I don't think the president has been isolated from exercising that constitutional right. And given that the president is a consumer of justice in this country,
yeah,
he needs to also be allowed to express himself if a decision has been taken which is contrary
yeah,
to his expectations. So I think that the president is right to express himself, and I think this is what we need to do. Why should Gerard Guy express himself the way he wants and not the president?
okay,
Yeah, so I think the president was right. And thirdly, I would like to commend the Chief Justice for avoiding to entangle herself in this debate,
yeah,
because I think some politicians expect her to come out like the Maraga style, and I think she's kept her cool. She's focusing on her issues, and I think her approach is going to help
But she is yet
judiciary.
to respond.
Her approach is going to help judiciary in tackling the challenges that have been there.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Wamatangi?
Yes, good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Was this statement in bad taste?
Well, it depends on which angle, or rather from which part of our now apparent divide you're looking at it. But let me say, Trevor, first, let me wish our viewers a good day and good morning. And then to say, Trevor, that you know, now we have an apparent divide in the mindset and thinking of this country around any issue that may arise. And
yeah,
so you find that whatever is done, and especially if it is done at the higher level of leadership, then there will be people busy trying to create a narrative to suit this thinking or the other. And because of yesterday's proceedings in court, I would be measured and limited in most of my comments. You heard what the judges said,
yeah,
in as far as the content and the matter that's in court. But limiting myself only to the comments that the president made in Kisumu. Trevor, I was trying to go through all the papers and I listened to the entire speech. I also have listened to most of the people who have made claims, including the headlines yesterday and part of the news coverage today, that have singled out one word as a definition, you know, attacks. And I was trying to look for the attack in the entire, you know, discourse. And Trevor, I don't know what amounts to an attack then, because what, in my view, the president sought to do was to make a case for where the opinion of the popular initiative promoters, who then went all the way through and which was also supported by you know, himself and the rest of government. I think he sought to make their case as an explanation after the effect of the judgment, and then posing questions. And you see, every comment he made, he was asking, supposing this and that. if this and that. I mean, trying to create a comparison between such that then those listening to his speech, and especially and intended for all Kenyans, can have then the diversity of views and see, you know, are we better off or not better off? And I think I would want to say that those that wanted to single out what he said and make a case for attacks against the judiciary are just trying to frame another contest whereby it will look like even before, or at the time of going to the appeal, that there is an intended attack or to demean the stature of the courts. And of course, then that would have a certain intended outcome, you know, to kind of pollute the mindset of those that are listening to the case, and indeed also set the judiciary against the executive. I do not think that what the president said indeed amounts to an attack. It amounts to comments he made from the position where he sits as the head of the executive, as the you know, the symbol of national unity and what he had intended to achieve. Okay. And I think time will tell. Okay. In my view, time will tell, because eventually we have to agree, Trevor, that there are gains in that entire proposal that would have helped this country quite a lot. I do not think, definitely, that would block out any dissent from either of the proposals. People can be listened to. We have a right to disagree with views. We have a right to input new ideas. But I do not think that it is worth the goodwill and the intentions of the promoters to take the whole document, bundle it with all the contents that it has, create a roadblock on it, or take it and throw it away in its entirety. Okay. I think that would definitely amount to denying Kenyans a vital right.
Dr. Muto, what do you think?
You know, I want to say hello to our viewers and from all over the country, and also recognize that as a party leader of Manileo Chap Chap, I lost one of my members of County Assembly from Kiagu Ward in Imenti in Meru, Eunice Karegi, to cancer, which is really terrible. So we'll be attending her funeral, and my condolences to the people of Meru for that loss. And which reminds us most of the time that it's important for us to celebrate life as it is right now. And life in the 1980s and 90s was quite tough for Kenyans, especially if you had a voice of dissent. When you saw what were called real persecution under the Moi era. Political persecution, we saw the tortures that happened in Nyayo House. You saw serious people going to exile, people being bundled into their vehicles, real political persecution. So I think we also have to be real, and I'm going to request my Senator Cherangai not to push the limits of rhetoric by talking about political persecution. What is going through has nothing to do with political persecution. People suffered. You know, people are locked up, detention without trial. That is political persecution. People are tear-gassed and beaten up. People's accounts were frozen. People had their private parts squeezed, you know, and burnt in chambers. That's political persecution. Going through a court system in a democratic nation whereby you're accused of something, given a chance to defend yourself, is not political persecution. It's always good that we operate at a certain level when we discuss these things. Now, when it comes to the issue of when it comes to the issue of the head of state, and I'm not saying the president, I'm not saying the head of the executive, I'm talking about the head of state. Uhuru Kenyatta talked, and I saw the tweets. I missed that part of the speech, but then I listened to it later. And I saw the tweets attacking, and then I listened. And that part of the speech was very cleverly crafted. It is very important for us to respect the judiciary, arm the judiciary with the right amount of money and support for the judiciary to be able to perform its duties. But Uhuru Kenyatta brought up an aspect that when I studied in the United States came up, and that is what is law? And law is a reflection of what you call community values. So community values shift. And if you listen to that speech, the president talked over and over again about the aspect of choice.
Yeah.
You are given a choice. And what he was asking as head of state, not head of the executive, is, as the country of Kenya, have Kenyans being denied from making a choice? There's a difference if the BBI was being passed by parliament or a few people and then now it is law, but the aspect that it has to go to a referendum to give people a choice, were the courts limiting what they are supposed to be there to do, and that is give people choice. And so he was speaking as head of state saying, okay, this has been done, but can we look at the bigger pictures?
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into the merits of the case. I don't know what I can say or cannot say, but one of the things that worried me about the, and I think I agree with some of the aspects of what the judges said, the 5 judges. But there's an aspect where I got a bit perplexed, the issue of who can bring a popular initiative.
Yeah.
I'm an elected governor, elected by hundreds and thousands of people. I represent people who have decided to elect me. Now, do I lose my power and my credence to bring a popular initiative, but a local guy who is just a noise maker in the village, who cannot even get elected by his wife or by her husband, has the powers to bring a popular initiative, but I, who is elected by the people, then I am stripped of those powers by the same constitution that gives us the rights to be elected to represent our people. So there are aspects there that we need to look at. So I think what the president was saying is, let's be sober, let's look at it. And let's remember that community values change over time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the president was saying. Let's look at the United States, for example. You find that women are not allowed to vote. There was a community value there. And the court, including the Supreme Court of the US, upheld that women are not supposed to vote.
Yeah.
Times changed, and the law changed to allow women to vote. Yeah. Because community values change with time. And the work of interpreting the law, you interpret the law within the aspects of community value at the time.
Okay.
What is that telling us about our country?
Okay.
So did Uhuru do anything wrong? I listened to the speech. I don't think he did anything wrong. He didn't attack anybody. He didn't insult anybody. He talked about choices. Yeah. And we cannot be a country whereby your speech or freedom of expression is so constrained, you cannot speak about something that you're not happy about because you're the head of state or you're the governor. Yeah. You'll be told, wait, una attack. No, let everybody express their opinion and let us agree to disagree.
Okay. Cherargei, you want to talk about the burden of choice before I come to you at end? I'll come to you in just a bit.
I wanted to say, I've read 3 Days on the Cross by Wahome Mutai, and of course the success of the open, free, democratic society we are enjoying has come a long way. Yeah. But there is a reincarnation of the same. You saw violence in Matungu, no one was arrested. 2 million you saw on the clips, pangas were done, people were injured. No one was taken to court because they were political right. And in fact, Matungu by-elections, all those cases were dropped. And I wish my brother would just cross-check his facts. When you go to Bonjari the other day, you saw the tons and tons, even the governor and the senator were being attacked in their home, and they belonged to ODM, and ODM did issue a statement. And I'm surprised my brother Atandi is becoming selective in recalling. You saw in Juja what happened. So this is thing that somebody wants to undermine our democratic space by politicizing the operations of the police. Yeah. So even if you look at my charge sheet, I think Atandi is overexcited in defending the government, which is okay because they are now in government. I'm told Raila is the president or sometimes the deputy president. Is the charge sheet does not talk anything about bribery or anything within that. I think he should get his facts right. That one being said and done, the issue I wanted to say finally on the issue of whether the president cannot promote, and I think I would respectfully differ with Governor Mutua. When all of us have become a state officers, we are no longer private citizens. And when you become a state officer, there are some things you can't do. And therefore, if the president wanted to start or review the constitution, the president is a party leader. He can use the parliamentary process, which is much more safer route than becoming a private citizen, because we saw cases where even the the state were using its resources. They were gazetting the BBI secretariat, being funded by the tax money. And I remember Okoa Kenya, or the Third Way Alliance push for the review of the constitution was done by the private citizens. So I think respectfully, we should be honest to Kenyans. There are things as a state officer, as a senator, as a member of National Assembly, as a governor, you can't do because you have become a state officer. You are no longer a private citizen. That is why the popular initiative should be on by individuals that, and I think going into the future, because we wouldn't want to discuss things that are alive in court, and I've seen people defending. I don't have a problem with constructive criticism of decisions that have been made to court. Yeah. But the way it came out, the way the attacks were being just read by the president, shows that there has been a systematic undermining and attack. And I've just said a cabinet minister of this country made a remark at one of the stations media in some bulletin by saying as the church finishes the judgment, they should be aware that there is a police officer who will escort to court. We don't have this interdependence, and I have not seen my colleagues condemning such acts. So when it is black, let us call it black. When it is white, it is white. What President Uhuru Kenyatta did on Madaraka Day is uncalled for, and we should call him out. If he needs to prosecute his appeal matters, let him use his lawyers. He can raise those constitutional issues in an appeal. And I would be excited to listen to his legal jurisprudence as to why the BBI process was becoming so much more important as to oppose the problems that we are. Trevor, as I finish, as we talk today, 471 Kenyans have received the second dose of AstraZeneca vaccine out of 47.5 million. You have seen Kisumu, where the super spreaders were, Kericho, the North Rift and the Lake Basin region, the COVID and the fourth wave is being predicted. Yeah. And you know, the government should be concentrating much on providing vaccine for every Kenyans, as opposed as to taking us to a gravy train of unnecessary BBI process. Okay. So I would have expected that the government and the president should have talked in his speech even about the vaccine provision for each and every citizen of Kenya going into the future, so that we don't use lockdowns and curfews to run the management of COVID. We need to reopen. Okay. Just the way you have seen Europe and the US, they are now reopening their economy because at least most of their population have been vaccinated.
Okay. Atandi?
Trevor, on the alleged persecution of one Cherargei and other Tanga leaders. Trevor, have you seen the young children who are loved by their parents?
Yeah.
When the way they behave when they miss even something small. This is what's happening here. You know, these people, you know, they have been loved so much by the systems. And when, you know, a small thing like, you know, being taken to court, you know, makes them feel like, you know, they're being persecuted. I want to agree with Governor Mutua about persecution, political persecution. Political persecution is not something that we should speak about in this era of the new constitution, because it doesn't exist. We have a robust constitution where, you know, you are taken to court within 24 hours, you know, and you argue your cases, you have your lawyers, you know. So I think, Cherargei, avoid that direction, because you're a lawyer and you know, and even though you are very young, but I think you have read about political persecution in Kenya. So you need to avoid that direction, because it is not healthy. Yeah. And Kenya is a democratic country, a truly democratic country, where courts have challenged the president decisions. Trevor, you imagine the courts told the president that you can't even appoint board members of parastatals. The court said, no, you can't. So you ask yourself, why are you a head of state when you can't even run your government? I think the level where we have reached, we've gotten to a stage where the courts just need to announce what should be done, what the parliament should do, what the executive should do. Then the country, I think the country, they want the country to go that direction. I think that's not really right. So every arm of government must fight for itself. Yeah. And I think I like the direction which everyone is taking. The president has appointed a team to courts, to court of appeal, you know, to overturn the decision of the High Court. I think that's what really needs to happen. If the president went ahead and said, let us proceed with BBI irrespective of the court decision, then we would have accused the president of ignoring the constitution, you know. But you can see we are putting our appeal, you know, we want to overturn the High Court decision, and that is really what democracy is all about. We fought, by the way, the arm of the side of politics which I belong fought for democracy. These people did not fight for democracy. They are latter day saints. So the latter day saints should avoid lecturing us on democracy, because we know the pain of this new constitution, how it came to be. And I think Cherargei, let us respect our lanes, because I think you're trying to move to the side here. Thank you.
All right, I'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we finish up on this BBI issue and get into other issues that are
I
happening
hope I
in the
will have
country as well. We'll be back in just a
a
bit.
reply.
You've become a saint.